Has anyone noticed that we have Nazis living here? Nazis. Like American Nazis. Like they believe Hitler was good. You know, they thought that was actually the way to go, and this whole liberal experiment has gone wrong. That's what's rising right now. And it's easy to blame Trump and say, you know, he's a Nazi and he's supporting these groups. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But the reality is that these people were here before. And anytime there's a Nazi movement rising in your country, in this case, our country, that's a sign that we all need to look around and figure out what went wrong. Because at the end of the day, if you have a Nazi movement rising in your country, odds are you personally, myself included, have ignored the needs of others. If people have economic security, if they feel like they have hope for the future for their children, if they don't feel like their culture is under attack, then they're not going to be Nazis, you know? They'll have the propensity for it. They can be manipulated by politicians to hate one group or another. But when people have their needs met, they don't rise up and start hating other people. They just kind of let it go. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe you don't like brown people, but if you're doing okay, you're not going to blame brown people for it. So what do we do? Well, here's the thing. The solution is easy, but it's so hard to do. We have to deal with our ego. We have to swallow our pride, and we have to listen to each other. That is the only way this is going to work. Now, I've been with the 2016 election, and I can tell you, the Bernie and the Hillary folks didn't listen at all. It's like we just yelled at each other back and forth, and I think both sides have some valid points. And had we listened, and had we actually worked together, maybe we wouldn't have a Bernie or bust movement, because the Democratic Party wasn't listening to them. But then it goes beyond. It's not just Bernie or Hillary or conservatives. It's all of us. So after the convention, now we have Jill Stein versus Bernie or bust versus Hillary. And of course, none of them were talking to each other. Everyone hated Hillary from the Bernie groups, but then now we have Jill Stein versus Bernie. And then those people started fighting. So we just kept getting divided. We need to unite behind a pro-human movement where it's conservatives, liberals, everyone together. And we'll kind of get together, hear each other, and listen to each other. So when someone makes a statement on Facebook that you disagree with, rather than trying to convince them of your side, as I'll call him out, Tom Hartman does all the time. People call into the radio show, and if you disagree with Tom, he'll just blast you with bullet points, you know, his talking points, and he does not hear your side. He does not have it as his goal to make you feel understood. Now, maybe there's some weirdness about radio, and it's boring radio, but if your tagline is win the water cooler wars, and all you do is not listen and blast people with talking points, you're not going to convince anybody. So here's my challenge to all of us. And right now I'm really speaking to progressives because that's my team, you know, and I want to get my ship in order, especially for this 2018 election. So Democrats, we need to be united. Progressives, more like. I'm more about the ideas and not the party. Whatever party can give me a progressive agenda and get things done, that's whose side I'm on. So we need to start listening to each other and actually caring about other people's concerns. That's the only way we make this. When people on Facebook says something, ask follow-up questions. You know, just questions meant to make them think. Not to piss them off, not to argue with them, just to get them to think. And then over time, as you keep asking questions, you will realize why they think the way they do, who they trust, and you just may tap into their subconscious. But here's the kicker. If people don't ask you about your opinion, or they don't ask why, their mind's not open. Not only do they not want to know, they're not even open to knowing. Yeah, sometimes there's a difference. Someone will be like, oh, wow, yeah, you know, and their ego doesn't get so triggered, right? But for the most part, no one's like that. So when you're arguing with someone, make it your goal to understand their position, not to impose your ideas on them. And by starting with this, understanding each other, hearing each other, we will actually get a lot more done. I mean, we have fucking Nazis here, all right? Can we wake up yet?